Hello and welcome to CloudFolks HUB. My name is Bhavesh Atara. Now we are going to start our lab and we are going to create our first ECS cluster. Of course, we are using AWS console over here, and in upcoming days, we are also going to use AWS CLI to create our ECS cluster. But here we have some differences between AWS console and AWS CLI. We are going to discuss about how we can create our ECS cluster using AWS console in this video. So let's start. Here we have some confusion about creating cluster from AWS console, and that's why I'm going to use this particular mind map. So I'm going to start with introduction. In Amazon ECS, when we are going to create ECS cluster using AWS Management Console, means graphical user interface, something important happens behind the scene. And that's why I'm using this mind map while I'm performing this particular lab. Now let's understand this behavior. Even if you don't select any infrastructure, Fargate and Fargate Sport are automatically included. Now, I already explained you about Fargate. I will explain you Fargate Sport in this video as well. But the main thing is, when I'm going to create cluster, let's go with the AWS console. Here I am inside my AWS ECS console and I am going to click on cluster and I am going to create new cluster. Let me click on create cluster. Now here I have to provide name. Now what I am doing, I am giving name like cluster without Fargate. Okay. Now here it is asking me to select infrastructure, right? Now what I am doing here, I am just going to remove this default behavior. It means I'm going to create cluster without adding any infrastructure. I don't want Fargate. I don't want Amazon EC2 instances, right? Now I'm going to click on create. But surprisingly, the matter is, even though you have not selected Fargate, but it is going to add Fargate and Fargate Sport automatically. Let's verify this. So right now it is actually creating cluster. Let's wait. Created. Now see here I have this cluster without Fargate. And now when you go to the infrastructure, here I am getting this Fargate and Fargate _ Sport, right? So even if you don't select any infrastructure, Fargate and Fargate Sport are automatically included. Now you may have this question in mind that, okay, but what happens if I'm going to select this Fargate, right? So let me do this. So I have this cluster, I'm not going to touch this. Let me create new cluster. Create cluster. Here I'm giving name cluster with Fargate. This time I'm not going to touch this, right? I'm just going with the default option. Fargate defaultly selected. I'm just going with this and let me click on create. Now nothing is actually happening differently. Even though if you are selecting Fargate or not selecting Fargate, Fargate and Fargate Sport will be added automatically. Okay, look at this. This means whether you choose it or not, you can always run serverless container using Fargate because they are adding this automatically. Now look at this. Here I have cluster with Fargate. Now if I am going to this and here I have this added. So literally when you are actually going to create cluster, even though you are selecting this option or not, it doesn't make any difference. It is actually adding Fargate and Fargate Sport automatically. Yes, if you want to add EC2, you can add over here and you can run your environment in a hybrid mode. Means you have Fargate, you have EC2 as well. Now, for your curiosity, I'm just going to answer this. If you want to completely avoid Fargate and use only EC2 or external capacity, the AWS console won't allow you to do that directly because it is actually adding Fargate and Fargate Sport automatically. For that, you must use AWS CLI, right? So if you have this question that, okay, I don't want to add anything in this mode, they are adding all like cluster, Fargate and Fargate Sport automatically, I don't want to add anything, you can do this using CLI. We will talk about this. I will tell you how we can create ECS cluster from the CLI as well. So at that time, you will find it out. But practically, if you have this infrastructure, means Fargate and Fargate Sport, you are not going to pay anything, right? You have to pay only when you will launch your container or task inside this Fargate or Fargate Sport. So even if it is there, literally, there is no harmful as well because we are not paying anything. Yeah. If I just want to use ECS, I will launch all my tasks into the ECS. I will not use this Fargate and Fargate Sport. So literally it is not harmful at all. Now, we already discussed about Fargate, but Fargate Sport is a new word for us. So what I'm doing right now, I'm just going to explain you the differences between Fargate and Fargate Sport. So we all are aware about Fargate. Fargate, a fully managed serverless container platform. No need to manage EC2 instances. AWS handle provisioning, scaling, patching and availability and all. Ideal for a production workload where stability and high availability is required because it is a serverless. So we don't care about any high availability. If I'm going to talk about Fargate Sport, it is a 70% cheaper version of the Fargate, and same like we have EC2 instance on demand and Sport, same we have 70% cost saving as well. Use spare capacity of AWS, may be interrupted anytime, so best for batch jobs, dev testing and fault tolerance workload. Now, important behavior. Even if you add EC2 during the cluster creation or not, Fargate and Fargate Sport are still available by default. This means every ECS cluster created from AWS console is always ready for hybrid deployment. You run the workload on Fargate, Fargate Sport or EC2 anytime based on your need, even if you haven't selected Fargate. Another point.
Sorry to interrupt you. I know you guys are enjoying our video a lot, because our final ultimate goal is Solution Architect Certification exam. To reach the destination, we required full videos. Path number 1, our 6-in-1 program. Our 6-in-1 program include all prerequisite skills which is needed as a cloud engineer. It include 24/7 support, lifetime update, section-wise practice test, full course practice test with tips and tricks by Bhavesh Atara, how to do exam preparation course, weekly lifetime live session with Bhavesh Atara, and 6 AWS project with documents. Path number 2, you can enroll by paying $499 and get Hindi and English, both the languages, videos of AWS. The choice is yours how to create your success story by choosing best one. Best of luck. Thank you.